All right. I don't know if you all could hear me or not. Wow, that was a whole bunch of talking, and I don't even know if you all heard me or not. So, once again, hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to Sports Talk with Big Sarge podcast. I'm your host, Big Sarge. I'm going to be doing a live show now that I'm no longer with In the Trenches. That show is officially done. Indy Kalu officially retired that show on last Friday, and when he walked away, then I walked away as well. So now I'll be doing a live show here Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays for now. Since I've already had the 10 to 12 p.m. blocked already scheduled off, I'm gonna be doing a live show here, bringing you sports talk right from here. So make sure you are subscribed to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge podcast. Make sure you'll follow me on social media, Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end on Twitter, and Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end on Instagram, and Big Sarge Media on YouTube. All right, let me go ahead and get this thing started. Now, let me tell you all something about Big Sarge. For those of you all who are new here, for those of you all who don't know about Big Sarge, let me just go ahead and get this out the way. If you're looking for a local sports show, then I would advise you to continue listening to whatever station you are listening to in your home market. Whatever, and I'm just going to use Houston for example. If you're looking for strictly Astros, Rockets, and Texans talking now with the Roughnecks, U of H, if you're looking for strictly local talk, I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy if you're looking for just local sports talk. But if you are looking for a sports show that has a local sports show, because I am located in the city of Houston, but if you're looking for a local sports show with a national feel, that's right here. This is the spot to be. This is where I need all of you all to be once you get that alert that Big Sarge is on. All right, so let me start out by saying this. I am a credential media member. I cover the Astros, the Rockets, and I cover the Texans. And now I will be covering the Roughnecks as soon as the XFL starts. And that's for those of you all who do not know me. I am a veteran of the United States Army. I'm a mental health advocate. I am um, a mental health advocate, a veteran. I'm a widower. I am just a genuine down home person. And I just love talking sports and other things. Now, I do have some other things coming. What's up, Craig? I do have some other things coming. Hey, for side note, Craig, hey, man, great job on your weight loss, brother. I'm following your progress. That's amazing, man. My big sorry salute goes to you, Craig. But like I said earlier, if you're looking for a local sports show, then continue to listen to whatever local sports show you're listening to here in the Houston market. I'm not a local guy. And what I mean by I'm not a local guy, will I touch on local subjects? Of course I would. I would be doing a lot of you all a disservice if I didn't talk about the local teams, but I have a national feel to me. So I have people that listen to me all across the world. I have people in Germany. I have people in Afghanistan. I have people in Korea. Like there's a lot of people who listen to me. So for those of you all who do listen to me around the world, I promise you that this isn't just going to be a Houston sports show. This is going to be a sports show. A sports show. Now, I do have to do this though. I have to start off with the local feel. And so I was listening to some local radio on yesterday, and I was listening to some local radio this morning. And everybody knows that the Houston Texans hired DeMeco Ryans, former NFL player, former Houston Texans player, really good when he was here. But they hired him, former San Francisco defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, as the head coach for the Houston Texans. And it's a great hire. But I heard yesterday, and I heard it aggregated and regurgitated today, that asking, was DeMeco the right hire? And if he wasn't the fan favorite, if he wasn't a local guy, if he wasn't a local name, and what I mean by local, like everybody's a name, he's easily recognizable, would he have still gotten the job with the Houston Texans? Hell yes. What are we doing here? Well, maybe the Houston Texans may have went, offensive and went with Shane Steichen, the new head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, if DeMeco Ryans' name wasn't a local name. Hell no. DeMeco Ryans has and will always be the right hire for the Houston Texans. He is the right hire for the Houston Texans right now. I don't understand why we're even asking this question. Now, I do get it and I understand it. Shout out to those guys, those media guys who asked that question, who, they got time to fill, they got to create content. So I get all that. You have to. But if we're breaking it down, Jonathan Gannon was not, excuse me, the right call for the Houston Texans. He wouldn't have been the right call for the Houston Texans. Shane Steichen wouldn't have been. None of those other coaches outside of D'Amico Ryans would have fit in with the Houston Texans organization and what they're trying to do. Not only is D'Amico Ryans a household name that's going to get fans butts in seats, but he's good at what he does. He's good at what he does. And one thing that you will learn, I don't know how many of you all have ever been involved as far as being in leadership role. I don't know how many of you all have ever been in a leadership role, but if you've ever been in a leadership role, you know a couple of things. One, in order to be a good leader, you have to be an effective listener. That's the first thing. Two, in order to be an effective leader, you're only as good as the people you lead. Meaning that if you are a leader of people, then that means that you also got to listen to people. You also got to have good people around you. You also got to have smart people around you. I've told this story before, and I'll say it again. When I was in the Army, the one thing that I used to do with my troops is when it was time to complete a mission. We got a mission every day. Excuse me. What we would do is we would go into the conference room. I would remove my rank, set it on the table. My subordinates would remove their rank, set it on the table. Now we're not talking. You're not talking to Sergeant Bearfield. What you're doing is you're just talking and figuring out how we're going to get this mission complete. So I'm listening now. I'm trying to figure out what you all want to do. How can we get this mission complete? And I'm talking about sitting in front of people that could have been my children. So I'm listening to this, but sometimes they have a more effective way. Sometimes they're way smarter and can get it done in a more effective way than I can. So what D'Amico Ryans is doing is putting smart people around him, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So he has, and he always will be, the best person for the job right now. Steichen wouldn't have been able to get it done. Gannon wouldn't have been able to get it done. These other coaches, Frank Reich wouldn't have been able to get it done. Sean Payton wouldn't have been able to get it done. D'Amico Ryans is the right person for the right time right now. So let's just go ahead and get that local thing out the way. On tomorrow, we'll dive in a little bit deeper because I want to talk about some Rocket stuff too. But like I said, this isn't a local show. This is a national show with a local feel. I don't even know if I could use that or not. All right, moving on. My wife, right? My wife, I love her to death. She know I loves her to death. My wife is by far one of the biggest Green Bay Packers fans I think I've ever met in person. Like, I don't think I know anybody else. Well, Craig, I know you love the Packers as well, but I don't think I know anybody else personally who loves the Packers more than my wife. And when I say she loves the Packers, I'm talking about loves the Packers. I remember we went to Lambeau Field 2 Christmases ago for a Christmas gift. She had never been to Lambeau Field, but she loved it. She loved going out there. So my wife is a huge Green Bay Packers fan. So I've seen my fair share of Green Bay Packers games. Like, I've watched more Green Bay Packers games since we dated and got married than I would like to. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So what I watch for, I'm only watching the NFC East. I only want to see what's going on with the NFC East. But because I love my wife, and my wife is a diehard football fan, she watches Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago as well. So I've watched every game of the Green Bay Packers the last 3 years. I know for a fact that I have. So with that being said, I don't want to say that I'm a subject matter expert, but what I will say is this. I know a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. I think I know just a tad bit about Aaron Rodgers. And with him getting ready to go on this sabbatical, hey, Aaron, I think you should stay your ass in the darkness. Hand over heart. We'll talk about why I do hand over heart later on down the line. Aaron Rodgers, you're about to enter into the darkness. You should stay in the darkness. And if I was the Green Bay Packers, you know what I'd do while you locked yourself up in that room in the dark? You know what I would have done? Or what I would do if I was the Green Bay Packers? I would pack up your entire locker, your entire existence at Lambeau Field and set it outside the door. I get it. I got it. I understand. It is almost blasphemous to talk about a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. I get it. I got it. Let's look at Aaron Rodgers last season. 3,695 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Okay. That's not good numbers for a quarterback of his caliber. No 300 yards, no 300-yard passing games. His best game was 291 yards passing in a loss to the Detroit Lions, 15-9, where he threw 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. All right, cool. Everybody has their down year. I got it. They were 8-9, right? 8-9, and they lost to Detroit their last game when they were playing for a playoff position, right? One game he had 3 touchdowns passing this year. 1. And that was against the Dallas Cowboys when they came back and defeated the Cowboys. Yes, that did break my heart. All my wife could look at me and say was, it's going to be okay. And I'm saying, hell no, it ain't going to be okay, because this is what the Dallas Cowboys do. Dallas Cowboys were up on them. Dallas Cowboys up on Jacksonville Jaguars. Dallas Cowboys, you know what? This ain't a Dallas Cowboys. This ain't a Dallas Cowboys show. Let me stop. We'll talk about Dakota Prescott another time. Aaron Rodgers, though, right? So we talked about his numbers for this season, a down season, a season where they did not make the playoffs. Some would say Aaron Rodgers didn't have no weapons on offense. Well, if I'm not mistaken, he had two hell of running backs in the backfield. Aaron Jones finished the year with 1,121 yards rushing. A.J. Dillon had 770 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. Now, people are going to say, well, that's cool, Sarge. That's cool. We can talk about the weapons that he had in the backfield, but what about the weapons that he had as far as wide receivers is concerned? I'm glad you asked. One of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers does not have the great wide receivers like everybody thought he should have is because of him. It's Aaron Rodgers' fault. What he's doing right now with this sabbatical is the reason why Davante Adams plays for the Las Vegas Raiders and not the Green Bay Packers. Who wants to play on a team where it's all that uncertainty? When after every season, you got to figure out, damn, well, is Aaron coming back or is he not coming back? Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do here? I don't know if Aaron is coming back or if he's not coming back. That's how you lost an all-pro wide receiver, is because of Aaron Rodgers. Now, once again, take your ass into the darkness, hand over heart. Take your butt into the darkness and stay in the darkness, right? So he said he had no wide receivers. He lost Davante Adams because of uncertainty. He lost MVS. We like to call him MSNBC in my house. And it's crazy because when the Houston Texans played the Kansas City Chiefs this past season in the locker room, I said, Valdez Scantling, I said, hey, you know, we call you MSNBC in my house, but you're one of my wife's favorite wide receivers, right? So they lost MVS. MVS being lost was because of what? Money. Who is taking up the majority of the money of the salary cap? Oh, ding, 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 ding. Aaron Rodgers. So we keep talking about the root of this problem is Aaron Rodgers. So no Davante Adams, no MVS. Allen Lazard wants out as well. The only way they're going to keep him, they're going to have to franchise tag him. And I don't know how they're going to franchise tag him. And if they lose him, guess where he's thinking about going? Following Davante Adams to Las Vegas. The only person who does not have a say-so is rookie wide receiver Christian Watson, who, by the way, after that Dallas Cowboys game, how the hell we keep coming back to Dallas, Sarge? I don't know. But after that Dallas Cowboys game, he found himself rising above the rest. He found himself going higher and higher and higher. He finished the season with 611 yards, 7 touchdowns, right? So he has a great upside, right? So no, has Aaron Rodgers had the receivers that he's had in the past? No, he has not. Does he have adequate wide receivers? Yes, he does. Is the reason why he does not have good wide receivers his fault? Yes, it is. We watched Davante Adams even with a subpar quarterback like Derek Carr, which, by the way, hey, we're going to talk about Derek Carr too, because he's selfish, right? In Jesus' name. Got to say that when you talk about, Derek Carr. Definitely going to talk about that a little bit later on. But no Devontae Adams, no MVS, who just won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. Here's the problem. The reason why the Green Bay Packers are in the state they're in is because of Aaron Rodgers' narcissistic ways. Aaron Rodgers has been this from the time he got drafted, when he sat in that green room and sulked because he felt like he was a top 10 quarterback and fell all the way to number 24, if I'm not mistaken. So he has always felt like he owes the league. He has had a personal vendetta against the league, and so he holds them hostage, especially now, holding them hostage in what he's doing, right? So I get it. Aaron Rodgers, first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. We know that, of course. He got one Super Bowl ring in 18 seasons. 4 NFL MVPs, but one Super Bowl ring. Now, I brought this up on social media, and somebody said, well, Sarge, there's only other quarterbacks that's only won one ring as well. Everybody ain't Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's not on that same platform as Aaron Rodgers. Everybody isn't up there with Aaron Rodgers. You would expect him to at least get them back to the Super Bowl, right? You would expect him to at least get back to the Super Bowl. 2011, 1. So even with that being said, right? Even with that being said, talking about Aaron Rodgers and his narcissistic ways, let me say this. And then I'm going to finish this up and I'm going to wrap it up. So for those of you all out there who are Aaron Rodgers fans, and I don't have anything against Aaron Rodgers. I think that Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But here's the problem that I have with Aaron Rodgers, right? If you're going to have narcissistic tendencies like that, you also got to be able to produce. And what I mean by produce is you can't blame it on what you don't have. Just use what you got. If you're supposed to be this great all-time quarterback, then you need to be able to do more with what you have. And even when you had it, you didn't do nothing. Oh, Sarge, what the hell are you talking about? You can't say that about Aaron Rodgers. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. Look. So for those of y'all who followed me for a long time with this Sports Talk with Big Sarge, as far as the show is concerned and the podcast, I like to do this thing where I go, I saw a photograph. It kind of made me laugh. It took me back down memory lane. Let's go back down memory lane when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Can we talk about the way that the last 3 seasons for Aaron Rodgers has ended? Can we? NFC Championship game, right? NFC Championship game. Lost 37-20 to the 49ers. They were down 27-0 at the half. Down to the 49ers, 27-0 at the half. 27-0. I like to say nothing because it sounds better, but 27-0. At the end of that game, Rodgers' stats looked good because by the time they got down 34-7, they were passing. They couldn't run the ball because they were trying to come back. Their first 6 offensive possessions, 4 punts, a fumble, and an interception. 4 punts, a fumble, and an interception. You lost to Jimmy G. You lost to Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. And you look terrible doing it, Aaron Rodgers. They lost that NFC Championship game because of you. You were offensively ineffective. But what did you do after that season? Held the team hostage again. I don't know if I want to come back. I may want to come back. I may not want to come back. Okay, I got it. So you come back. Lead them to the NFC Championship again. Y'all lost 31-26 to Tampa Bay, right? Anybody remember how that game ended? Anybody remember how the NFC Championship game between the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the year the Bucs won the Super Bowl? Y'all remember how that game ended? Now, most of you all will remember that they kicked a field goal, and Aaron Rodgers was pissed off about that, and he did not like he threw his head coach under the bus and did not understand why they didn't go for it on 4th down. Well, Aaron Rodgers, you had 3 plays from the Tampa Bay 8. You threw an incomplete pass to Alan Lazard. You threw an incomplete pass to Devontae Adams. Stop right there. This is where it gets interesting. Now, I just told you that he got embarrassed in the NFC Championship game to the 49ers. Now you're in the NFC Championship game against Tampa Bay. Who remembers what happened on that play where he tried to force the ball into Devontae Adams? I do. Hey, raise your hand if you do. If I can't see your hand, I do. All Aaron Rodgers had to do was run the ball in. That's it. Jason Pierre-Paul was coming at him at an angle, but there's no possible way he was going to be able to stop Aaron Rodgers from running into the end zone. And what did Aaron Rodgers do? Aaron Rodgers tried to force the ball into Devontae Adams. Third down comes, another incomplete pass to Devontae Adams. They kick the field goal. I get it. I understand. I can understand why. But one NFC Championship game they lost because you were ineffective and you couldn't get your team into the end zone until the third quarter. You were responsible for the 4 punts. You were very ineffective. You looked ineffective in that game. The second NFC Championship game that you went to, instead of running the ball, and I wouldn't have had a problem. I wouldn't have had a problem with you trying to force the ball into Devontae Adams if I hadn't seen you run that same play and run the ball in the end zone on numerous occasions before. I seen you run that ball into the end zone during the season. But this time you tried to force the ball into Devontae Adams. And I'm saying to myself, just run the ball. It's wide open. You got the corner of the end zone. And even if you don't, guess what? You got 2 players in the backfield that on the next play, y'all can just hand the ball off and drive the ball in. But you tried to force the ball into Devontae Adams. 2 NFC Championship losses, your fault. I'm sorry. Y'all can get mad at me all you want. It was his fault. It was his fault. Now, we got it. NFC Championship game. Cool. All right. Aaron Rodgers does what again? Holds the organization hostage again. Saying, I don't know if I want to come back. I want more money. I'm still mad about Jordan Love. Side note. Hold on. Y'all got to forgive me because, I've been sick in the past. So that's why I keep coughing. Excuse me. Aaron Rodgers. Another issue that I have with you. You are so pissed off, still pissed off that by the fact that the Green Bay Packers drafted Jordan Love to replace you later on. First of all, do you plan on playing for the rest of your life? Like, how much longer do you plan on playing for the Green Bay Packers? You're 39 years old. You're in your 18th season. And this past season, you were very ineffective. Like, I went down your numbers already. You were very ineffective. So how long do you plan on playing? Do you expect them never to have a backup? Do you expect them never to have a contingency plan? I don't get it. They had to have some type of contingency plan, right? And if you can't understand the franchise having a contingency plan, then how the hell you think you got your job? You're doing to Jordan Love the exact same thing that Brett Favre did to you, and you didn't like it. You sat on the bench for a very long time. What did I call him? Yeah, you're right, Craig. He was Jordan Love. That's exactly what I'm getting to. He was Jordan Love. And you did not like the way because Brett Favre treated you like crap. That is documented, well documented, that he's treated you like crap. And what do? You turn right around and treat the next guy like crap. Instead of saying, hey, look, I don't know how much longer I'm going to play this game. I don't know how many. Let me mentor you. Let me help you so that once I am gone, you can just step in, take the reins, and keep it going. That's what an effective leader would have done if he cares so much about the team. But we know that, hey, and don't get me wrong, I understand NFL players are independent contractors. So I understand, but I don't understand. Here's an organization in the Green Bay Packers that has given you everything that you've ever asked for. And here you are trying to leave them in a worse situation in which you came in. And you came into a very good situation. But now you don't want to help, and that goes right into your narcissistic ways. Now, let me get back to the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to greedy, selfish, narcissistic Aaron Rodgers, who should stay in the dark. Green Bay Packers should find some way to get rid of him. That's just how I feel. You can call it a hot take all you want, but that's just how I feel. We talked about the 2 NFC Championship games. Let's move to the divisional round. The last time, this was 2 years ago, the last time that the Green Bay Packers made the playoffs. Y'all remember that? You remember the last time they made the playoffs? I'll tell you. They lost again to the 49ers, 13-10. Y'all remember what happened on that last offensive possession? Do you remember what happened on that last offensive possession by the Green Bay Packers in that divisional game against the 49ers? I'll remind you. It was 3rd and 11. 3rd and 11. Aaron Rodgers gets out the pocket a little bit, can see the entire field. Now that he can see the entire field, he can see everything. Aaron Rodgers tries to force the ball down to Davante Adams, who was being double covered at the time. Now, does that sound familiar? Did we not just talk about how he tried to force it in to Davante Adams during the NFC Championship game, and that didn't work? But it was 3rd and 11. He tried to force the ball into Davante Adams when all the while Allen Lazard is coming right underneath, wide open. There's nobody on Allen Lazard. You check the ball down right there. Allen Lazard gets the first down. And then guess what? You keep the offensive possession moving. But you tried to force the ball down the field into double coverage into Davante Adams. And guess what happens? You lose again. How many of you all know that Aaron Rodgers' postseason record is only 12-10? So for a guy that's going to just get, you know what? I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to take a break. You know, these regular season accolades, they're cool. These regular season accolades that Aaron Rodgers gets is cool. They're not good enough to hold a franchise in limbo like he does every year, but they're cool, right? And he has one Super Bowl. I want you all to do me a favor. I got some homework for you. Big Sarge got some homework for you all to do. I want you to do your research, right? Here's some research. Outside of the one Super Bowl that Aaron Rodgers had during the time that him and Tony Romo was playing, I want you to go back in, I want to say around about 2015-ish, 2016-ish, 2015, 2016-ish, before Romo got hurt. I want you to compare the numbers from the time that Tony Romo started, compare his starting numbers with Aaron Rodgers' numbers only during that one time frame, during that span. Take away the Super Bowl, just look at their numbers and look at their stats. You'll be surprised how much Tony Romo and Aaron Rodgers' numbers pretty much the same. I know you ain't gonna like that, but as I digress, Green Bay, y'all got to stop doing it to yourselves. It's time to either poop or get off the pot when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. He is going to keep doing this over and over and over again. And whatever franchise he goes to next, he's going to keep doing it over and over. He's one of those guys who don't want to walk away from the game, kind of like what Tom Brady did last year. If you want to move yourselves forward, if you want your franchise to move forward, you cannot allow this narcissistic guy with a 12-10 postseason record with one Super Bowl in 18 years. He's going to go down as an NFL great. He's going to go down as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to go down as one of the best to ever play the game with one Super Bowl ring. And that wouldn't be a problem if he wasn't holding the franchise hostage. We're about to get ready to take a break. Hey, when I come back, so there's a lot of talk about Chiefs offense coordinator Eric Bienemy and, you know, how he was done wrong. But the biggest travesty is being played out in Carolina. We'll be back. Welcome back. You're tuned into the Sports Talk with Big Sarge podcast / live show that I will be doing here. For those of you all who are just joining me, I will be doing this on a consistent basis from 10 to 12. And I want to do Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays like I used to do on In the Trenches with Indy Kalu. I want to do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 10 to 12. I'm going to have to, mess around with that a little bit, especially with baseball season about to start. And because I do cover the Astros and I have to continue covering the Rockets, plus the Texans are, about to get into their offseason stuff. Don't get me wrong. You will get a show. You will get a show. Maybe, until I can get my schedule down pat. But I'm going to promise you a show 3 days a week. And when come April, what I have going on in April, you going to get it just a little bit more. All right. Make sure you follow me on all social media outlets. Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Big Sarge on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge podcast. All right, so before I went to the break, I told you all that Chiefs offense coordinator Eric Bienemy was done wrong, but the biggest travesty is being played out in Carolina. The biggest travesty is being played out in Carolina. Wait a minute. Hold on, I just got a message. I was having a good day until you brought up the comparison between Rodgers and Romo. Hey, Craig, man, I'm sorry. It's like, this isn't my opinion, though. It's just facts. Like, if you could look it up, it'll be right there. But a lot of people are up in arms about how Eric Bienemy has missed out on the head coaching cycle again, especially with the hires of Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, both the coordinators who came from the Philadelphia Eagles, one being an offense coordinator, one being a defense coordinator, one getting hired by the Indianapolis Colts, and one being hired by the Arizona Cardinals, which closes out the hiring cycle right now. So I get it. I definitely understand. Eric Bienemy, and I put this out in the video and I'll say it again. He does not, I know this for a fact, he does not have great interviewing skills. His interviewing skills are horrible. And I've been told that by more than one person. He has he's not a very good public speaker. And when you're not a good public speaker like that, sometimes the way you're used to talking and the way you're used to acting, you can't code switch. We call it code switching in the industry. Like, I could be talking to y'all like, hey, man, what's the deal, bro? What's going down? But, if I have to code switch, I'll get in front of somebody and be like, hey, how you doing, Brian Bearfield? Oh, most definitely. I can definitely understand why, someone will look at that problem and see it that way and not be able to offer a solution. Like, it's just what it is. Some people can code switch, some people can't. And unfortunately, I want to say, even if we're going to move, let's just push race to the side. Eric Bienemy isn't able to code switch. He isn't able to sell himself like he can, even though he has the credentials and the resume to be able to get a head coaching job. Now, throwing race back in it, if Eric Bienemy was a white guy, he would already have had a head coaching job because they would consider him one of the most brilliant minds in the world. Two people that work with Eric Bienemy got jobs, right? They got jobs and they never called to play. So I get it. I understand. Do not get me wrong. There is a lot at play when it comes to Eric Bienemy. There's a lot. You can throw race in there as a factor, of course. You could throw the code switching and not being able to be the salesman. You could throw a lot in there when it comes to the hindrance of Eric Bienemy getting a job. But we talked about Eric Bienemy for a lot. We spent a lot of time talking about Eric Bienemy. But there's a travesty going on in Carolina that I think that some people just turned a blind eye to. I think that a lot of people turned their heads when it came to this. There's a bigger travesty that's going on. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am going to be 110%. I did not see this coming. I did not see what happened in Carolina coming. Like, there were hints of it, but I was like, no possible way. Because I've always thought that David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, who used to be part owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if for those of you all who know, Pittsburgh Steelers was one of the, was the organization who started the Rooney Rule. Look that up. But I always thought that David Tepper was different. Not because of the person he replaced in Jerry Richardson, because that wasn't hard to do. Former owner of the Carolina Panthers, Jerry Richardson, who had to sell the team because he had sexual and racial allegations brought up against him. I mean, there was a story. Go back and read the story of Jerry Richardson, and when he used to ask women, when they used to wear jeans, oh, I bet you had to jump up and down to get into those jeans. When he used to, wanted once women got into his car and they were going somewhere, he made sure he vehemently wanted to put the seatbelt on so he could rub across the women's breasts, allegedly. There was a lot of racial things that was said. So it wasn't hard to replace Jerry Richardson as an owner because, from what's being reported, he was just a bad guy. And David Tepper came in, and I was like, okay, here's a guy that I thought would have been a whole lot better, right? But he fooled me. He fooled me. And I started to see him fooling me when he hired Matt Rule. Now, for those of you all who have been following me, you all know that I call Matt Rule Bill O'Brien Jr. And the reason why I call him Bill O'Brien Jr. is, side note, hey, you remember when Bill O'Brien left the Patriots and got the head coaching job at Penn State? And then after he got the head coaching job at Penn State, a couple of years later, he got a head coaching job with the Houston Texans. And I said to myself, what the hell has Bill O'Brien done to get a head coaching job? Oh, well, that's because a lot of people like the way that he handled the situation at Penn State when it came to all those Sandusky and Joe Paterno and, that whole scandal. Look that up. I don't have time to rehash it. Just look it up. That whole Penn State scandal, Bill O'Brien came in, was able to keep some of the players there, was able to right the ship. And I get that part. I got it. I understand. Hold on. I understand that he came in and he did an excellent job at being a people person. What the hell did he do on the field? Bill O'Brien didn't produce any big-time wins. Bill O'Brien didn't produce any big-time wins when he was at Penn State. They didn't even hardly play any of the big-name schools. Yet, he was able to get a job after handling that Penn State situation in the NFL. Now, Bill O'Brien Jr., Matt Rule, had the same situation coming into Baylor. Everybody knows what went on at Baylor. Everybody knows what Matt Rule was designed to do coming from Temple. He was assigned, to come in and to clean up that situation at Baylor. Great job. I'm not knocking you. It's a great job, right? Great job you did coming in, especially with a team that was broken. That players who transferred, you got some players to stay, but a lot of players transferred out, but you stayed there. And in the third year you was there at Baylor, y'all went 11-1. You went to the Big 12 championship game, lost to Oklahoma in Jerry's World. I was there. So first 2 years, didn't expect anything. Third year was kind of unexpected, but for you to get Baylor where it was, I get it. But you follow right in the footsteps of Bill O'Brien because you didn't have any big name wins. There wasn't any big time wins for Matt Rule when he was at Baylor. Like he followed in the exact footprints, he followed the blueprint of Bill O'Brien. Go back and look at his record against ranked teams when he was at Baylor. Let's exclude the first 2 years. Let's just look at the 11-1 year. Go and look at his record against ranked teams. He did not have a good job. And guess what he did? He used that, and just like Bill O'Brien, got a job in the NFL with the Carolina Panthers. And I said, by far, the dumbest decision that Tepper could have ever made. I could not believe that David Tepper would hire a guy like Matt Rule. Somebody who hasn't proven anything except he can come in and talk to kids in college. So we got it. All right. I got it. Sat there and I said, I'm going to watch because it's funny to watch. It's funny when you watch things play out in real life and you say, this guy ain't going to be no good. And I told a Carolina Panthers fan this many of them. And for those of you all who will hear this, because this is an audio program as well, I'm using my fingers like 2-3 of them. I said it wasn't going to work out. So they fired Matt Rule after he won 1-4 this past season. And then they brought in Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks took over the job, went 6-6, had them contending for the NFC South title against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Steve Wilks was also playing with his hands tied behind his back. You give him a team that's already 1-4. Then you go out and you get rid of the best offensive player on the team in Christian McCaffrey. You send him to the 49ers. Then you bring in Baker Mayfield, a quarterback who needs more psychological work than he does film study. You bring in a battered quarterback who has mental, and I don't listen. When I say mental issues, I'm not talking about him personally. I'm only talking about from a football aspect. Mentally, you could tell Baker Mayfield had checked out a long time ago. Steve Wilks goes 6-6, uses Deontay Foreman to get back to where they need to be. And I got that part. That's cool. What he did with Deontay Foreman and helped them contend, he kept that team above water and still kept them relevant. And what the hell did David Tepper do at the end of the season? Hire Frank Reich, the former head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, how the hell you go out and you hire Frank Reich? Frank Reich got fired by Jim Irsay. Yes, that Jim Irsay. That Jim Irsay who just at the press conference to introduce the new head coach looked like he was drunk or high. Looked like he had taken some type of substance before he came to the press conference. That Jim Irsay. That Jim Irsay who went out and got a former player who was being a TV analyst and brought him in and made him an interim head coach for the end of the season. That Jim Irsay. Frank Reich got fired by that guy. And then you bring him on to the Carolina Panthers and you don't even like Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks, a coach that the players respected, a coach that kept the Carolina Panthers relevant, a coach who almost won his division even after a 1-4 start, a coach who gave his all, and then you just say, no, I really appreciate it, Steve, but we're going to bring in Frank Reich. And I said to myself, what the hell is going on here? I thought David Tepper was supposed to be smarter than some of these other guys. I thought, like, there's really no difference between David Tepper and Jim Irsay to me. Not right now. Come on, y'all. We know how this thing goes. So while we're looking at Eric Bienemy, what we really should be looking at is what the hell's going on with the Carolina Panthers and why this African-American male did not get an opportunity to coach this team. What did he do wrong? What did he do wrong? What did Steve Wilks do wrong where he did not get the job with the Carolina Panthers? And you go and you get a guy who was fired and you bring him in and then you talk about all the wonderful things that you're going to do. And I'm here to tell you right now, David Tepper, in 2 years, maybe even 3, probably 2 though. You may give him 2, but by that 3rd year, you'll be looking for a new coach. Because Frank Reich isn't it. And you don't have the draft capital or the players to be successful, even in a weak NFC South division. Even in a division that should be wide open. But I think that, matter of fact, I think that the Atlanta Falcons is going to be winning that division a lot now. And when Atlanta isn't winning it, I think that New Orleans, once they can get everybody back healthy and get everything going, they're going to also contend. So all you're doing is doing what? Nothing. So the travesty isn't that Eric Bienemy isn't getting a job. The travesty is that Steve Wilks didn't get a job. Now, I meant head coaching job. He's the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator. He replaced D'Amico Ryans once D'Amico Ryans took the head coaching job with the Houston Texans. But still, he should have been the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. But yeah, David Tepper. Just really trying to figure out what it is you're doing. All right, I'm about to get ready to get up out of here. But for those of you all, and I keep saying this over and over again, for those of y'all follow me, you know how we do it. All my Vietnam veterans, welcome home. Germany, good night. All my active duty military personnel that's downrange, good night. It is now time for Big Sarge's Article 15. JuJu Smith-Schuster, come get this work, bro. Timeout. On Valentine's Day, right? The day of love, when you decided that you were going to troll the Philadelphia Eagles defensive back, the one who got the holding penalty against you that kept the drive alive in the Super Bowl at the end of the game. You decided to troll him, JuJu. See, in order to be able to troll JuJu, you got to also be effective, right? You got to be effective. Now, I get that you had your 6-7 catches for 53 yards or whatever the case may be. Yeah. But you were pretty much a non-factor. Matter of fact, you were pretty much a non-factor throughout the whole Chiefs season. Like, JuJu, there's a reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers got rid of you. And if I'm not mistaken, Antonio Brown, and I know we take his word with a grain of salt, but Antonio Brown told y'all JuJu ain't that guy. And the only reason that JuJu has been anything is because of me. Antonio Brown told you all that. But JuJu wants to come out and show this and show that when he's with the Steelers and say I'm this and say I'm that. And they got rid of his ass. And then he got here and he got the Kansas City Chiefs. He ain't really produced much. Like, go back on the season and tell me your favorite top five, your top five JuJu Smith-Schuster plays. Don't worry. I'll wait. I got time. Don't worry. JuJu, in order to troll people, your ass actually got to do something. And you ain't doing nothing. The only thing people remember you for is because of TikTok. As a matter of fact, your own head coach told you you look faster on TikTok than you do in person. Ain't nothing, no difference between you and Patrick Mahomes' little brother. Y'all TikTok stars, except you actually get paid to play in the NFL. But for you to go out and troll somebody, bro, you of all people, like, you should have definitely been the one that took the ring and just said, I'm going to move on. Hey, I'm good right here. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to take this ring and see if what I can do with it. See if I can parlay getting a 2-3 year contract somewhere else. Let me see if I can go fool somebody else into taking me. Because you didn't do nothing, JuJu. Like, you were irrelevant throughout the whole season. And the only reason you even got the catches that you got is because McCole Hardman was hurt. If McCole Hardman would have played the game, JuJu, you wouldn't even, there wouldn't have been no use for you. Just like it was no use for you through the season. Out here trolling, bro? Come on, man. Take it to TikTok, bro. Invent a new dance. Do something. Call Ice Spice and Spice Ice or whatever that young lady's name is. I don't mean to disrespect her. I really don't know her name because all I know is her song is called A Munch. So Ice Spice, Spice Ice, young lady, I'm not trying to disrespect you. I just don't know your name. But I think that JuJu needs your help. Help him come up with a new TikTok dance so he can become relevant again, because the only time people ever remember JuJu is for his antics and not his play on the field. Nobody can ever go back and say, damn, JuJu had an outstanding nothing if it wasn't for somebody else. You've been tuning into the Sports Talk with Big Sarge podcast / live show. We're going to do this thing again. I'm going to do this thing about 3 times in a week. And I got some very, very big plans coming up this soon. I'm on my way out to a meeting right now. Man, I appreciate y'all. Thank you all for everybody who joined me online on social media. For those of y'all who are going to see this, and please know that there are guests coming. I just want to make sure that I got something out there so you all could remember me. Now it is time to go into the darkness like Aaron Rodgers. I'm out.